Hello, hola, bonjour. Tune in every Tuesday to the Dear God podcast.
¿Y qué pasó?
Nah, we talking like it's 1995. Let go of that Wi-Fi. Let's laugh and cry, but never say goodbye. Primos y Primas, que lo que, and welcome. Bienvenidos to the Dear God, Are We There Yet? The podcast. Con tu prima favorita, soy Alicia Sanchez. And yes, this podcast is bilingual. Ahora, Dear God, in this context for my movement is whatever or whomever you want it to be. I have to make sure I say this to everyone listening. It can be the universe, religious God, Buddha, self, nature, lo que sea. This community is for everyone, which is a lifestyle community of question seekers. The goal is simple: to empower thought-provoking conversations, share happiness, and encourage each of us to never stop asking questions and having conversations that matter. The power of helping people help people with one conversation at a time. Why? Because we need it. Our families need it, our friends need it, and the world needs it. Ya tu sabes. Don't forget to check out the YouTube channel where I talk about self-growth, budgets, and business, and the passion to empower. Ahora, let's talk like it's 1995. I have a very special guest. I have so much questions, and it's so great to get professionals on the show that are subject matter experts, because it gives you that feeling of, oh, I'm not going crazy. So I want to introduce to you Mary Joye, correct? Mary Joye.
Yes.
No, Mary Joye.
J-O-Y-E. Spelled a little different.
J-O-Y-E. It is spelled a little different. So for people that don't know for people who don't know who you are, can you tell them a little bit about who you are?
Well, I'm a licensed mental health counselor in the state of Florida. And I also, my prior life was in music ministry and songwriting in Nashville. So, and I was the child of a psychiatrist. So it seems disjointed, but it's not, because music, and I use music therapy work, and I write for dailyohm.com and do meditation music for them. So, you know, my entire life has a common thread of helping people get in touch with their emotions. And I use music therapy and writing to do that, because it's a very expansive way to help people help themselves. Because my job as a counselor is to help people listen to them, not to me.
Oh, wow!
And because you have a spiritual, I am so grateful when my clients do believe in God, because, or they're a creator, a creative force within them, because they have to listen to that too. That makes it even stronger, that Trinity. I truly believe in that Trinity of a body, mind, and spirit, like a Father, Son, and Holy Ghost.
Yeah, and I love, and then that's why it's so important that I always talk about that. When I first started the Dear God, Are We There Yet? People always ask like questions about it, and I always said this space is for everyone. So it's so important that I say it's whatever you believe in, you know, because everyone has their different beliefs. Even if it's a spiritual background, like you said, meditation, that's completely different. You know, maybe in the religious sector, they don't probably. I mean, I grew up Catholic, and we never talked about meditation, you know. But I'm more spiritual. I'm not attached to a religious kind of thing, but I wanted to make sure that I do believe in God, and everyone has their own way. So I appreciate you coming off and saying that too, because I mean,
yes, and I am,
yeah,
yes, I am. So I think we're all the same. Where I went to high school in Florida, we studied world religions, and everybody was saying how different they were. And I said, no, they're all the same. They all have a basis of love and kindness and serving your fellow human. So I'm exactly like you are. I don't adhere to any one religion, but I certainly adhere to that we're all children of a creator.
Exactly.
Whatever all that creator.
So I am so curious, and I know my listeners are going to be curious about the music therapy and art therapy, because I think that, one, that's phenomenal. There's a lot of schools now with kids that they're even taking away music and art, which is insane to me, because I feel like that is an outlet. Can you talk to us a little bit about that music and art therapy? Because that is something that not everyone focuses on. A lot of people don't do that. So can you tell our listeners a little bit how it works and the success behind it?
Yes, and the success behind it depends on it's not a one size fits all. So someone needs to paint to paint. And if they hate to write, don't ask them to journal. And if they, I'll even do art therapy to the point of a simple collage, and I'm looking for patterns inside that collage. Like if someone's been abused, I will see patterns of, they're not even aware of it. I'll see patterns of like barriers such as fences or balconies of a house or borders or walls or gates. I will see that even though they're subconsciously maybe not aware they're putting that in there. And I'll know they're seeking safety. And then I'll be able to ask them, what are you seeking safety about? It helps me help them, not just to help them listen to themselves, but help them to look inside themselves. It's just another tool to access that other part of their body, mind, and spirit. And if they're into music, I do songwriting therapy. Sometimes you just can't put feelings into words or words into feelings, so we put it to music.
Yeah.
Or get it out. And even if people absolutely hate all creativity, I tell them, please go out, take your smartphone, take pictures of things you like all around town, and then bring it back next week. And I look for patterns, and I'll look for like upward motion in those photographs or downward motion. They all have a common thread. My undergrad degree was in theatrical stage design and lighting. So I've incorporated those two skills together. So I think that's what maybe makes it a little more unique, is the way I've been taught to look at it. Like I said, these are not disciplines. They're all the same.
Yeah. Now you talk about solution-focused therapy, and I like how you bring all your backgrounds together, especially with theater. And because it's true, you're looking through in a different perspective. You're not just listening, but you're looking at all different elements. But what does solution-focused therapy mean? Like, is it that someone comes in and they say, this is my issue, this is my problem, and then you go towards to like a solution, or is it a process? Like, how would you reflect that?
Well, I have a simple way of explaining solution-focused therapy. Most cognitive behavioral therapy, and it incorporates that. We're constantly taught to ask, how does that make you feel? How does that make you feel? It's a lovely question, and yes, I do have to ask it at times because I genuinely don't know. But if someone comes in and their feelings are obvious, my question is, how do you want to feel? Because I don't know that. That's the one thing I can't see. If they come to me in grief and they're ready to move on, I need to know if they want to. If they need to stay in that grief mode for a while to have catharsis, I want to know how they want to feel and when they want to feel that way, to kind of be the journalist of their own recovery, who, where, when, why, what, and how. And then I help them get there, and we explore options that are true for them. That will really have things that are genuinely possible. So solution focused is a little bit more about working on moving ahead than cognitive behavioral therapy is just change your thoughts and change your life. But solution focused is let's find options and solutions and actually get you there. And I use guided imagery a lot too. Like I'll have shut their eyes and put on meditation music and tell me what they want and what they see in the future and what bubbles up out of their subconscious is beautiful sometimes and almost always doable. It's never like a crazy thing they can't attain. Usually it's attainable and doable, but they just need someone to help them, to guide them, show them the way.
So when it comes to solution focus, then how would you say when it comes to fear? And the reason why I bring up fear is because it doesn't have to be, and for all our listeners, and I'm just going to translate a little bit in Spanish, tener miedo de hacer algo en la vida de nosotros, no necesariamente es como no lo quiero hacer, o por qué lo voy a hacer, or how am I going to do it, or why am I going to do it, or should I do it? How does that, because we all have some type of fear, and we read it all day long, like, fear is not real, and da-da-da-da. And some days we feel pumped and we're like, I got this. And then the other days it's like, oh my gosh, this is worrisome, this is anxiety. Like, how do you, speak about that or get towards people by walking their hand in this journey para cambiar? Like, how do you, when it comes to fear?
Well, fear is there for a reason. One of the favorite acronyms I ever heard was it's false evidence appearing real. However, that's a lovely acronym, but when people say fear isn't real, actually there are things in our lives we should be aware of. We should be cautious. You know, the reason that human beings have the fear response is to keep them safe. Counterintuitive, but if we didn't have some fear, then we would just walk outside at night by ourselves in a big crowded city and get dragged into an alley. I mean, fear is necessary to keep us aware and to self-care, to be aware and to self-care. That's fear used to the good, and that's what it's for. But when a person has had bad things happen a lot, or they have extra fear, that's what we call anxiety. And that is false evidence appearing real. That is their mind taking them down a negative neural pathway. But the good thing is you have neuroplasticity and can challenge those thoughts and say, okay, I'm afraid this is going to happen, but it's not happening. It's probably not going to happen. And it's amazing because in the pie chart of your life, only about 5% of what you fear comes true. So it is best not to focus on the fear, because then you set your brain into motion to go right towards it, self-fulfilling prophecy. And for those of your listeners who do study the Bible, Job said, my greatest fears have come upon me. And here's what science says about that. If you fear something or don't fear something, your brain will lead you to it. And most philosophies, cognitive behavioral therapy included, say what you think about is what occurs. And I love how Carl Jung put it. He was a father. He said, I adore Carl Jung. And he it's Jung for anyone who wants to look him up.
Yes, he's awesome.
He's awesome. And he always told us to keep our shadow selves in the light. So if fear is your shadow self, if fear is your dark side, when you keep that in the light and realize, okay, am I reacting on fear or truth? Because he said what you resist persists. So if you resist to face your fear, you will keep it. It persists. But I call it, this is going to be real easy. And you can translate. I would translate this for me because it probably won't rhyme in Spanish, right? And I do speak muy poquito español. But the way I put it to people is when you embrace your fear and face your fear and then replace your fear, then you erase your fear. You erase it. You have to go through that process. You've got to embrace it. You can't keep ignoring it like it's not there.
Yeah, ponte la cara en el miedo. Ponte la cara en el miedo y póngalo ahí delante de ti y diga, okay, está bien, esto es así, pero yo no lo voy a hacer así. I like it. It's like confronting it.
Yeah. Oh yes, you have to acknowledge that it's there. If you ignore it, it will not go away. It just will come back with a vengeance. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. Now, I want to talk about a little bit, because you said that, because I'm actually looking at the dailyohm.com, and you just mentioned something when we were talking, like when you are with your clients, you tell them, look, if meditation is not for you, like, or you tell them certain things, if art's not for you, then don't do it. Like, so what are, because a lot of people always ask, like, oh, I'm not consistent in the journaling, or I can't meditate, or I can't do yoga, or I can't. And there's like phenomenal things on Daily Ohm, by the way, for everyone, dailyohm.com. And I also will put Mary Joye, which is the Winter Haven Counseling. Abajo de este podcast, I'll have all the information so you guys can go on there. But what do you say to the people when they're just like, everything that you tell them to do maybe self-reflection or connecting? What do you tell them? Like, if they cannot do meditation or yoga, because can't everyone be in a meditative state?
Well, people that have been traumatized, I encourage them not to meditate, because I don't accessing their subconscious. If someone's in severe grief or recently traumatized or maybe had a car accident, I don't want them to meditate, because they're already in touch with their subconscious. They're already in shock, and they need to come back to the present. They need to be mindful and in the moment. So mindfulness is not the opposite of meditation, but mindfulness is noticing your body and where you are in the moment. It's very helpful. But it's not a one size fits all. But if people are resistant, I always tell them meditate will expedite things, but it's a slow process. It doesn't happen overnight, because it's like when you download if you have a large file download into your computer, it takes longer to put it in there. And it requires patience and time. And when I tell people that don't have time, my favorite kind of journaling, and I do it myself, like gratitude journals or other kind of journals. I like bullet points. Who needs to say, today I got up and brushed my teeth? You don't need to do that. Or I feel fearful today. I feel like the whole world is falling in on me. A bullet point journal of that would be fear and want it to go away, just bullet points. Just acknowledgement, because bullet points are getting to the core of it very quickly, which is what solution focused therapy is.
Yeah, because
resolution.
Which is true, because I see that all the time. And I've always said this on my podcast too, like, I think sometimes we feel that pressure and that, like, oh, well, I have to do this and I have to do this. I'm not working on myself. I'm not becoming a better person. And I read stuff all the time and I say to myself, no. And that's a great point that you say, bullet points, because it's just kind of like a highlight and just taking that moment to write something. Now, I want to circle back to, you said that your father was a psychiatrist, and how was that growing up, and how did you fall into, just because you grew up with this, so how was that? I'm just curious. When I could see that.
Well, I'll tell you the good news and the bad news. The good news is it was in the 60s and 70s when it was in its heyday, so it was very accepted back at that time. And the good part is that I learned a lot, and I'm going to share that. I'm going to backtrack a second because I'm going to give you the bad news, because it's very short. You got analyzed a lot, and that was never. But you're also an extension of your family's image, and I mention that in my Daily Own courses, because when you are a preacher's kid, a doctor's kid, anybody's kid, it doesn't matter if they're in a profession. Anybody, any parent that wants you to enhance their image can cause you to be fearful, codependent, and anxious, because we're all made differently. I mean, any a doctor's kid, my brother didn't become a doctor either. He became an attorney.
Oh, wow.
He went to the Naval Academy because my mom wanted him to, and he quit. So we're, and because she wanted him to. When you become an extension of your family's image, that creates a different kind of fear and perfectionism. And we see a lot of teenagers committing suicide even over this need to please their parents. I mean, my goodness, look at the scandal we just heard about parents buying their kids into colleges they don't even want to go to.
Oh, I know.
I mean, these kids could care less if they get into Harvard, Yale, Vanderbilt. They don't even want to go, but their parents want. It's an extension of their image. So that being said, I'm going to rewind again. The good things I learned from the climate that my father's psychiatric practice was in, when it really was in its prime. I mean, that I wish psychiatry would go back to that model, because now it's mostly about prescription pads. But my father did hypnosis, taught me self-hypnosis, transcendental meditation, and also, and this was in my teens and 20s. But the most important thing I learned was there was a machine he had. It was called a biofeedback machine, and that gets a bad rap because some cults use it to put thoughts.
Yeah, isn't that like mind? Isn't that like kind of like a mind control though?
If it's used incorrectly, absolutely. But if you use it by yourself, you can absolutely see. It's amazing. I used to play with it in his office. I was a kid. I was playing with it like a toy. All it is a blood pressure meter that's in real time. And when you look at that meter, when you change your thoughts, like if you think about something that upsets you, that thing is going to make blood pressure go up and make you agitated, and then the meter goes up. And then if you think of peaceful thoughts and get in the meditative state, it goes down. So it's a good self-help tool, and it's good if it's used in a therapy office, but if it's used in a religious, I don't want to use the cult word, but I'm going to anyway. If it's used in a context, if you're not watching it, if somebody else is monitoring that, that is not what that was meant for. That was meant to help you self-monitor, to be self-aware, and to self-care. And you can see visually that when you change your thoughts and change your mind, it changes your physical well-being. It changes everything for the better. That's what that's meant. So I learned early in life that your thoughts do change your life.
Yeah, your reality. You create your own reality.
Exactly. If you're going to think about fear, then that's all you're going to think about, and you will be unhappy. But if you challenge that fear and, what if this happens? What if this happens? That's what fear does.
Yeah, that's what it does.
So, okay. And I'm going to say something else to add to that, if you don't mind.
Of course.
Do that, but what if this happens? What if this happens? It's very low vibration. And then you say, but what if this happens? What if I don't get in a car wreck? What if I have a wonderful time going on that road trip? And the worst case scenario is, if I can't make it all the way over the bridge or 500 miles, I can pull off and enjoy someplace in the middle. So did you just hear my voice go from fear, low vibration, like the theme from Jaws, dun-dun, dun-dun, to, fun, to thinking forward, to thinking uplifting, like adding helium to your thoughts, going, well, what if? Instead of what if? Just realize that fear has an energy and a vibration truly in your body, your mind, and your spirit. It actually does. That's why they use low vibration music in horror movies to scare you. It works.
That's why you have to be careful of, what your surroundings are, what you're listening to, what you're looking at. Mary, I want to thank you so much. I have one question before I let you go, is because I know that we have a lot of moms and that listen to, and a lot of families that listen to the show. And what is one thing that you would tell them as far as getting their children to as far as meditating, or just because it's hard, with technology, and a lot of moms struggle with having them to be in the moment, being mindfulness. What is one thing that they can do to kind of get them to kind of be within stillness, or to practice that our moms can kind of take with them?
Well, this is going to be really simple, and it's nurture your children with nature. Not only have they taken music and art out of many schools, they have taken recess out, and there's a reason they need to recess. You need to take a break. You need to work your body, and if you don't, you get anxious and fearful. Running, exercising, that is a short-term cure, and yes, I said cure, for anxiety and fear. So get your children outside, away from the computer screens, out from underneath the fluorescent lights. All of those vibrate. All of those will agitate your children. Get them outside in nature, because there's vitamin D, sunlight, light, kindness. The same word we use for light is the same word we use for your spirit. I have a lightness of spirit. And when people see the light, get your children outside with nature, nurture them. Parks, even if you live in a huge city, somewhere there's green space. Our brains need that. Our bodies need it, and it takes away fear. When you're in a novel, new situation, then your brain says, "Oh, I'm in a new place," and you look around and you assess it. You're not living in your own head. You're in a new, wonderful place. Vacations do the same thing for your brain as meditation. A lot of research on that. Hopefully that helps. Get your kids out. Get your kids out of the house and out of their heads and off that computer screen.
I love it. Thank you so much, Mary Jo. Para todo el mundo que está escuchando, for everyone listening, I'm going to put the website of Mary Joye. It's winterhavencounseling.com. And what's really awesome is that every time I have someone on the show, I always want to know how can people get a contact with them, because they might have questions or just curious. She has actually online counseling, which is awesome, because, sometimes our days are hectic and we need to speak to someone. We need to add that into our life. So she has the online counseling on there. And also, she is from Psychology Today verified, and she's also a life coach. So I will put all the information on the bottom, and also dailyohm.com, because I was just like, as soon as you told me about it, I just put it up and I'm like, wow, there's just a breadth of so much information and for inspiration and courses.
Yes, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but those courses are so affordable. I have a whole course on becoming whole again, and a lot of things we talked about fear in there. Their courses are $15, and you get 21 lessons in 21 days, and there's other people's classes on there too, of course. But the beauty of that, and I'm writing a book on codependency now as well, because that's all about abandonment. But
Mm-hmm.
their courses are only $15, and they're not just crummy little courses. They are many, many pages and lots of good interactive stuff, and a private discussion group with each class. So you're just not contacting, you're not just taking a class. You have a private discussion group in there, and respect and honor. So we honor the space on there. Gilliam's wonderful. It's not expensive. For $15.
No, that is amazing. It's so affordable. I see it here. It's called Becoming Whole Again, and it's changing. I'm definitely going to put this on as well, because this is something super affordable, and you can take it on your own pace, right?
Oh yes. Oh, absolutely. It comes in 21 days, but I always encourage people, do it at your own pace. Again, not one size fits all. And if you want to skip lessons,
I love it. I absolutely love it. Thank you so, so much, Mary Joye. It is such a pleasure to have you on our podcast. And for everyone listening, I want you to thank you again. And the one thing that if you've learned anything, I know if you're driving or sitting or working, it's mindfulness is so important. And sometimes it's hard for us to do. And sometimes it's hard for us, we're human, things happen and our life happens, but please take this information from today's show and apply it, because every day you put a little bit. It's just like, when you're growing a plant, you put the seed in and you water it every single day. And that's how we need to treat ourselves and love ourselves. Until next time, welcome back again to the Dear God, Are We There Yet show. And thank you, Mary Joye. You have a beautiful, beautiful day.
I know how to say this. Muchas gracias and vaya con Dios. I know how to
Ay, vaya con Dios. Tú lo hiciste bien. Yeah, you said it nice. Thank you and have a good one. Bye. You're welcome. Bye-bye.